Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
One day, find it we will. Connection of the rainbow.
Hello, and welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
To the podcast where sci-fi wardrobe designers come to see the new and exciting uses for tin foil.
So today our guest is Frank Pillar. Pillar, right? Not Pillar?
Pillar.
It is Pillar. Oh my
Pillar.
gosh. Well, I was
lied.
told wrong.
I still lied.
Sorry.
Please, Tim.
You had two chances. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
if you don't know who Frank is, which obviously I don't, you
Do
need
that.
to.
Way to go, Josh.
So,
Oh, you wanted Pillar. Oh, he's sorry. He's
Look him up. He's an economist.
yeah,
oh, okay. All right.
he's in the other room. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's an accountant. You don't want to talk to him.
So why do you need to know Mr. Pillar? Now I'm confused. Which one is
Pillar.
Pillar?
I think you just start over.
No, it's fine. We'll keep going. All right. Why do you need to know him? I'm just going to call him him. Frank is a jet engine mechanic by trade who began doing some amazing, and I mean amazing work with 3D printing and putting together pieces from killer cosplays to items I'm sure many of people in our group are going to be very envious of. Things like Thor's Stonebreaker, Captain America's shield, and what you're quite known for, the incredible Iron Man suit with functions built into it that are quite impressive. So to see Frank's amazing work and learn about the art of 3D printing and all the geeky applications that you know and love, please be sure to check out him on his pages like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, where you can find him under username of Frankly Built. So welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast, Frank.
Thank you for having me. It's really cool to be here.
I'm glad.
Last name's not required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
We'll be
The
full
last
Frank.
names.
All right. So you're a jet engine mechanic, right?
Yes. Yep.
Which is not to be confused with a rocket scientist, or maybe
No,
it
not-
should be confused. I don't know.
No, not at all. The credentials are surprisingly a lot less. I've been in the U.S. Air Force for about 8. Actually, what is today? The 14th. 5 days past 8 years.
Wow.
October
Okay.
9th was my enlistment date. Wow, that came out quick.
That was
Yeah,
bad.
and I'm a jet engine mechanic by trade. Aerospace propulsion is the job title in the military, and I've been assigned to jet fighters my whole career, all 8 years on F-15 jet engines, and it's
Wow.
it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
That's great.
So do you have to be a jet rocket science mechanic to do all the 3D printing stuff that you do?
Not at
Or
all.
What background experience do you feel is required to do the things you do?
I don't think there's actually any requirement for it. There's just an ambition to want to learn. I don't think there's any one thing I've done or have taught or worked on, or I just felt like, this is a little bit too advanced. Like, this is just like, none of it's a natural talent. None of it can all be learned. I did have a leg up on a lot of things because I grew up building Gundam models and toys and Legos, and I've always been mechanically inclined, which was great, and that definitely helped accelerate that. And then I was a car guy, and then electronics and automotive world. So I definitely had things that plugged and played into this a lot better. Painting was one big thing. So everything has helped. However, I have plenty of friends and who have picked up the hobby who have none of that previous experience, and they're still able to roll right into it. It's just all about your willingness to learn it, just like anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I don't think it's an overtly complicated hobby at all, but you can make it complicated. You can obviously, you can learn to draw a circle, or you can learn to paint the Mona Lisa. It depends on where you want to stop with that.
that's very true. It's very true.
All right.
So easy to start, hard to
I
master.
think so, yes. Especially now, how much it's grown in the past couple of years. A lot of people, and I mean, I fight this every day on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. So many people think it is this crazy, expensive, outlandish hobby. That's a rich person hobby. I'm in the military. I am not rich by any means. Let's set that out there right now. I am not here because I made the best life choices. However, I don't regret any of it. It was an option that I needed to make, and I don't regret any of it.
That's cool.
I should have paid more attention in high school, but I
I
yeah, right.
Like all of us, we should have paid
Yes.
attention more in high school.
However, I work with people who have bachelor's and master's degrees, and it's a broad spectrum. Everybody's there for different reasons. So
in the world of 3D printing, we know Star Trek levels it up to replicators, where you can practically just make anything from pieces and parts to food out of energy. There are many people who are leading in some of the innovations of 3D printing, but where do you see the application of 3D printing starting to take shape in like mainstream manufacturing? In your opinion, will we be able to turn energy directly into matter? When is that going to happen?
Your predictions, please.
Yes, please. I'm interested.
You're professional.
So
opinion.
Right now, I could be wrong about this, obviously, but right now in the hobby, I think this is the quantum leap of the affordability and the technology, where DVD players, and I remember how expensive Bluetooth used to be. You'd pay hundreds of dollars for a little Bluetooth receiver, or a Blu-ray disc player and now they're a joke. Everything has Blu-ray. So right now, I believe 3D printing is taking that little quantum leap where people are starting to get a big take notice of it, and it's starting to become cheaper. Companies are expanding. They're dialing in the technology, and once you start to actually break apart what a 3D printer is, it's painfully simple, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, why hasn't this come up earlier? Why did it take this long when it's just these slight bits of motors and belts, and it's basically a CNC? So why did it take this long to get here? And it's not slowing down at this point.
Okay.
Now, matter transversion and converting raw carbon into anything you want. 5 years? No. I think we're still a little bit off from that, but I think as we start to learn the 3D print metals and more practical applications, they're 3D printing houses. There's such unlimited capability with this, and it's affordable in your house. You can make these things that are just from sci-fi fiction, and
you can. No, I can't.
You can though. That's what's cool about it. It's again how far you want to take it. And a lot of these things are, props and replicas, yes, but at what point does it start to not become that? And you actually can make an actual metal Iron Man suit. You can actually make a prosthetic arm that has functions in it. So you start to blend this sci-fi reality. I mean, cell phones were basically invented because of Star Trek. So where does that actually start to bleed over in? Well, you're 3D printing an Iron Man suit. All right, yeah, but I can actually put weapons in it one day, and then at one point it is a mecha, it's a suit, it's actually armor. So it's getting crazy. It's definitely getting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank, after having watched a few of your TikTok lives and following you on TikTok, and then going and following you on Instagram and Facebook, we're going to call it following because stalking just sounds so icky.
Tim, why does it always come up with you that we have to worry
shush.
about?
Where's the line for that, right?
Yeah.
Right here, the podcast. That's the line. But
it's a good thing you're on another continent.
That's true. I have security cameras.
Yeah. There you go. All right. So watching all this stuff, it was very obvious we needed to talk to you. And now the one thing I didn't catch in all of your videos, because I didn't watch everything that you've put out, because there's quite a bit of content.
There's a lot.
When you've got your very first 3D printer, what was the first cosplay item that you said, man, I got to make this? If I'm going to do this, I got to make this.
That
was it Iron Man?
So I only got into the hobby last July to make that Iron Man suit. That was my end game.
Cool.
But
I see what you did there.
So I've always been a big Marvel fan. My dad got me into it and all that, and
cool.
It's been great. He was into the comics, and I kind of got really into the MCU and Iron Man and all that, and so we could always compare notes. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, they did this in the comics back when I was a kid." I'm like, "Oh, but they did this in the MCU," and so it was always fun just kind of playing that off. I'll never forget when he started talking about Captain America, and he's like, "I don't know how they're gonna bring a Nazi killing kind of superhero like that to the big screen, because that Captain America was propaganda at the time.
Oh, sure, very much
But
so.
they pulled it off, and he went and saw the movie with me, and we were both just like, that was really cool how they did that. And
Yeah.
so we just got to do that. And after Endgame, what kid didn't want an Iron Man suit? Like,
Oh yeah.
who left
I want one.
that? Yeah, who left that movie theater after any Iron Man movie? And you're like, that I would hate to have one of those. Come on,
Right, exactly.
and after I saw Endgame, and always I go to Comic Cons. I've been to London Comic Con. There was one in Japan that I went to, and it always looked like a lot of fun. And I finally realized like I was financially okay, stable, and I knew I had all the framework. I knew how to paint. I knew how to do electronics. All this stuff I learned from cars and models and all that.
Sure.
I just didn't have the base. I needed the easel, I guess you could say, or the canvas. And I did research, and 3D printing seemed like the best option for it. And it was just coming down to that affordability. And I grabbed my first printer, a Creality CR10S. It was like $450. And it was a big printer. It wasn't some small little, it was a fairly large printer. I learned the hobby, and then in September, October, I started printing the first pieces to the suit.
Great.
Nice. Okay. So looking in your room and looking at your videos and things that you've posted on social media, and as you just stated, it's pretty clear that majority of the stuff that you've done is Marvel Comics related. Whether it was Iron Man's suit, you've got the couple different versions of Cap's shield, you've got Thor's hammer Mjolnir, you've got Stormbreaker, you've got the Infinity Orb from Guardians of the Galaxy. I could go on because I'm a nerd, and that's just really cool stuff.
A lot.
But now we've talked a bit about Iron Man, and I have to assume that I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who's your favorite character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and what about that character not only caught your attention, but keeps your attention moving forward?
Batman just really took me back.
I was like, oh, I don't.
Well done, sir.
Did he not? No. Obviously, Iron Man. Tony Stark in himself. I always his wit, just the way he was portrayed by Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU.
Perfect.
Aside from maybe Johnny Depp and Captain Jack Sparrow, I don't think anybody's really ever embodied. That is amazing. The level he took to that, it was great. And his wit, his humor, just the way he handled situations, I always liked. And it is actually very similar to the reason I do like Batman from DC, is he's just a human. He's just a really smart human that doesn't have to do any of that stuff. When there's the Spider-Man quote, when with great power comes great responsibility, all that. People like Superman, Spider-Man, they have these superpowers. So it's kind of almost like an obligation, where you look at Batman or Iron Man, and all they are is smart. They're geniuses. They don't have to apply that to being a superhero. They don't have to apply that to changing the world. They can.
They chose to.
Exactly. Now, at first, yes, they did apply it to themselves. Obviously, that's Tony Stark's entire arc. He's a warmonger, and it's for him. And finally, when he sacrifices himself, it's for everybody else. So that's his whole journey and trip. And it was just great to watch that whole transition. And I don't know, I kind of latched onto it. It was he's just a really smart dude with some cool stuff.
Fair enough. I can get behind all of that. I as a side point, I also think that I don't know that there would be another actor who could have played Tony Stark.
It would have
if you look at it, because Robert Downey Jr., I see him on other movies. Like I watched Sherlock a little while ago that starred Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, oh, look, Tony Stark's in Sherlock.
He's typecast. He's typecast basically forever, but not even in a bad way. Not like Daniel Radcliffe or somebody.
I see it as a compliment, honestly.
Yeah, it's him. That's it. And
very much so.
It would have been very interesting to see who else could have tried. Tom Cruise was supposed to, but
let's thank our stars that didn't happen. All right. By the way, have I mentioned I'm not a Tom Cruise fan? He'll never be on the podcast. I don't care. So anyway, let's see. So often in your TikTok lives and other social media postings, you talk about how it's not as expensive as some people would talk or think about to get into 3D printing just for fun or for cosplay. And frankly, pardon the pun, it's probably a fraction of that expected or assumed cost. So, other than the expectations or assumptions of cost, what's another popular misconception of 3D printing in cosplay?
Aside from those questions that you kind of just stated, the other top 5 questions I think are in there is how did you learn to 3D design? How did you learn to 3D model? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah, you use models online.
Exactly.
Yep.
Somebody way smarter than me designed a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
Now it's just like buying a pre-built model kit for a car, ish. It's I don't know if any of you are familiar with Pepicura and Foamcraft and the organic side of cosplay, and you can download files, you can download templates, you lay them on fabric and foam, and you cut them out, and you then craft your foam suit, you craft your old Iron Man suit. Just like that, you can go and grab literally everything in my room. You can get the 3D files for it. Now,
that's cool.
One of the misconceptions of it is, and I deal with this, and you have to, you have to take the good with the bad, and it's just drag, drop, print, and then you have this thing. That is a painful oversimplification of it, unfortunately. I freaking wish one day, yes, I believe very much, definitely even in my lifetime, there will be a printer big enough to make something like this, multiple materials and near nanotech. I think that will happen one day. It's not there now yet. You need to understand how to use the machine. You can buy the $1,000s printer that gets you very good quality right off the bat, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the budget cosplayer and trying to figure that out. So you're going to need to calibrate and dial in the machine. That is a whole skill in itself. There's a couple different people you'll deal with in this realm. I'm not a 3D printer. I like to consider myself a maker that 3D prints. To me, the 3D printer is just another tool to get to this end goal. Right. Now, there are the people who are just 3D printing enthusiasts. They look for the quickest, best. They upgrade their machine constantly. They want that perfect, they're chasing that one perfect thread. And that's fine. Because of those people, I can learn from them and apply that to myself. So it's this big community. I have conversations with people with doctorates who work at hospitals because we're both 3D printing nerds.
Right.
So there's just this big community where it doesn't matter what you're printing. It's, hey, I'm having issues with my printer. What do you guys think? And you talk it out. So you need to learn the hobby. You need to learn the machine. You need to get those good prints, because if you don't have like that nice canvas to work on, it's going to be that much harder to get that end product.
All right.
So it's a big misconception. You don't need to know how to model. You really don't. Now you can go and edit, and you can scale and change the configuration of it, but that's also very easy to do. The programs, somebody way smarter than me wrote these programs, and they work very well. And all the programs are free. You can literally just get the $160 printer, get $10 worth of plastic, and you can start printing this stuff the same day.
Yeah.
Great. So I noticed, I was looking at some of your recent videos here, and you had one where you kind of toured your shop. Debbie and I watched that together. It was pretty cool. And you mentioned there how you like cheap tools, because don't always need the best tool for everything. I'm kind of the same way, some of these tools you use a few times, and once you learn how to use them, that's all you need them for. So I spend a bunch of money. Yeah, or free, even better.
Plug.
Yeah.
We're open for sponsorship.
Open for sponsorship.
Yeah, open for sponsorship. Frank is too, I'm sure.
Yep.
He will feature you on his TikTok videos if you.
Let's do it.
Well, he'll be happy to use those. But now, what's the most useful cheap tool? I mean, aside from the 3D stuff, we'll talk about that later. But I recently discovered the multi-tool vibrating saw that I hadn't really used before, and it's like super handy for things I hadn't thought of, and it's a multi-tool. So, what are some of your stuff that you like, or that you find indispensable in your hobby? But also, is there anything out there that you shouldn't go too cheap on, that you need to go for a little bit of quality?
Oh,
Yes.
he's thinking of that. I just
All
want to
right.
say, you kept saying cheap tool, and all I can think of is Cheap Trick, and now I'm singing the song Surrender in my head.
Okay. Don't surrender to it. Don't start. All right, cool.
Mommy's all right, daddy's all right.
A soldering iron.
There you go.
This is, if you get a 3D printer and you want to make anything bigger than, one little one-off pieces, you want to make large things, this is it. Put this in your Amazon cart with it and just buy it. The better option is to have it spend, instead of the $5 one, get the $10 one that has swappable tips.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because this is going to not only let you learn how to do your electronics, repair your printer if something ever breaks, learn how to do a little electronics in your props, but it also lets you melt and weld the plastic together to combine big pieces together. This thing is absolutely indispensable. I use this every single day.
Oh, good. Don't change the tip when it's hot.
Yeah.
Don't actually. I don't.
You
I
know
don't
which
believe you guys will
end
be
the
able to
hole.
see it. I actually right in the web of my hand.
Oh,
Ouch.
I dropped it, and I'm a mechanic.
No.
I reach for tools. I
Right.
dropped it right here, and all it did was hit me.
Yep.
It took that hurt for a while.
Ouch.
So it is just, it's a multi-tool. Now, a lot of people, I actually just had a conversation with somebody on Facebook. They said, oh, you're wasting your time with a soldering iron. Just go and buy a 3D pen. And a 3D pen is just like a hot glue gun. It takes 3D printed filament, and you can draw and make things with it.
Yeah,
That's
we have one.
good, but you can't penetrate the plastic with it. It's only for making surface weld.
Right.
With a soldering iron, I can actually go in and melt the plastic between seams and get deeper into the plastic for a stronger bond. Or else that big sword right there would not have the strength it does because of something like this.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Well, that's a good tip.
Now,
I'm an electronics
for-
guy myself, so I've used soldering irons for a lot more than solder myself.
They're great. They can do a lot of things. They really can. As for things you don't want to cheat, this is a 5-pound soldering iron off Amazon. They're great. Honestly, sometimes the cheaper ones are better because they don't have a voltage regulation, so they just get hot. They get uncomfortably hot. They hotter than they should, and be careful with them. But this one I can't adjust, but I always have it maxed out anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I should probably put some tape around it and just call it a day. The thing you don't want to cheap out on when you're 3D printing is the plastic, is the actual filament you use. This will drive you up the wall. This will, oh my God. This will drive you insane because cheap filament it'll make you think it's everything else. My printer's wrong. My settings are wrong. The model's wrong. The temperature in the room's wrong. The humidity.
Just the plastic.
It'll drive you crazy. So you do want to get better quality filament, stuff that has reviews, because you'll just be chasing your tail, and it can also damage your printer by having certain clogs and blowouts and issues. It can very well damage the printer if these issues start to happen. So quality filament, I mean, just it is crucial to this.
Good advice.
Great. Yeah. That's exactly the kind of stuff I was hoping to get. Now, while we're on the topic, you encourage people to get into 3D printing, and I've resisted the urge so far, but I've been watching it for a while, and I have too many hobbies at the moment, but
same.
Yeah. One of these days I'll probably break down and get into it myself. But now if I wanted to get your take on this, I know you've covered this in some of your videos, but for our listeners, if I wanted to start as a 3D printer hobbyist tomorrow, what is the minimum I need to get started? Machine, software, tools, what do I need to do to get started?
Can I grab something real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Absolutely, please.
This literally came in the mail today.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Ender 3.
Is that the tabletop?
This is this.
Nice.
Great.
All right.
That's
so he's
it.
got holding up a 3D printer.
It's tiny. That's what's in that box. This one's going back to my wife's work, so I bought another one for myself. And it's tiny. And this, I got it for $160 on US Amazon, and it showed up today. So
Wow.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh, well.
so you grab that, and like I said, you you get some good filament. You read reviews, you see what the community is kind of using, and then this is a $15 roll of 1 kilogram PLA. This is the most common plastic you use. So you're looking at maybe 160. I'd say for $200 or less, you have enough plastic, you have the printer, and everything else is free. The software to download, Ultimaker Cura, that's the one I prefer. There's other options like Slicer, and there's a multitude of free programs. And a lot of the 3D models on websites like Thingiverse.com, Colts3D.com, and MyMiniFactory.com has tens of thousands, if probably not hundreds of thousands, of free 3D models. Half of the Infinity Stone props that I've printed here are on Thingiverse. And you're able to just go download them, and you could be printing these off same day. The same day you get your printer and the plastic, that's it. That's everything you need. Everything else is just a bonus.
Awesome.
I wasn't expecting to be so motivated.
I know, right?
Okay, Deb, you know,
I'm
you know
getting
it's
good
in
at it.
store
I'm
for
getting good at
it.
that corner of the garage.
Yeah.
My wife's gonna be so excited when I get home.
Hey, look what I bought.
I know, right?
Honey,
So-
there's a package coming from Amazon in 2 days.
Yeah.
And there's, I've also noticed there's also another dynamic of the hobby that I feel I'm pretty good at making this stuff at this point. I don't know how to 3D model though, but I have friends who are amazing at 3D modeling.
Oh, yeah.
They suck at printing. But what they want is to see their creations made. So
Right.
there's a lot of 3D modelers out there who are they work with me, they'll message me. I've become good friends with a lot of them.
That's
And
cool.
they'll send me files to test out, and I promote them on the channel.
Great. That's a good
my
idea.
my Buster sword, the Berserk sword, a bunch of stuff back here, Mjolnir. The Tesseract containment unit that I have here, this was dormant in one of my friend's project
That's so
files.
cool.
He just wasn't working on it until I had mentioned it to him. Like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if I could have that Infinity prop. He's like, I actually have that. Let me start that back up. I just never wanted to finish it, but.
Nice.
And then he finished the file, and a few days later, I was sending him pictures of it, and he's like, "This is like that's awesome."
That looks
So a lot of
great.
them just want
Yeah.
to see their stuff made because
Right.
they're nerds too.
Sweet.
All right. So, for me, the problem would be there's just so many cool things to make. Now, I had a question.
Yeah.
If you were a billionaire genius, you're probably already a genius, just at least with the tools. But say you were Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne, and you had unlimited money and time to just 3D print your little heart out forever, what would be your next big dream project?
Millennium
Uh,
Falcon, Millennium Falcon, Millennium Falcon, Millennium Falcon, Millennium Falcon.
Life-size Millennium Falcon. That's a Tim one. Okay. You got
a life-size Hulkbuster.
Oh.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be. Oh my gosh.
Life size what?
Hulkbuster is one of
Hulkbuster.
Iron Man. For those of you who don't know, it's Iron Man's suit that he built specifically to take on the Hulk. So it is
Oh,
an
nice.
Yeah, that's
enormous
right.
suit.
Oh, that's
Ginormous,
I get it.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Had a
Yeah.
very, very iconic, nerdy scene in Age of Ultron, and it was still one of the best fight scenes in the entire MCU. Getting to watch these two finally throw down, and
Yeah.
it was everything we had been wanting for that fight
Yeah.
scene.
As a matter of fact, during that fight scene, I laughed when he pinned Hulk to the ground, and then the fist was like, "Pop, pop, 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 pop."
The Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
Yeah, the Rock'em Sock'em Robot fist right in and drove his head into the ground. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
geez.
that made me laugh pretty good.
That's funny. So
There
Tor-
is. I can't divulge too much of it because it is still a very close to the chest project, but that might not be a thing that I need to be some billionaire
Oh, great.
to do, because I might already have the CGI files from Age of Ultron for the actual Hulkbuster
Oh.
Wow.
that have already been converted into 3D files.
Look at you
Pretty
go.
fun. Yeah.
Really?
It's 11 and a half feet tall, and
Jeez,
Uh,
man.
we're
Oh wow.
That'd be
Your
great.
plans are being
garage.
formulated, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to approach this, because
Yeah.
I can't do it alone.
Great.
But,
Oh.
bigger garage.
we need, yes. Oh my God, yes. So there's plans to
cool.
do something along those lines, but as a crowdsourced, open source build, where Adam Savage actually did something pretty similar to this community. Everybody printed parts of a puzzle and sent it to Tested, and they made this thing.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Mhm.
We're
nice.
looking along the lines of something like that to
Oh, that'd be cool.
to get all the whole 3D printing, at least the nerdy side, involved, and even people who aren't 3D printers, because this will need some special funding too.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
Oh, great.
there's talks about that, and I'm excited.
So in touring the workspace video, I found a few interesting things and a lot of cool stuff. First of all, I must say I prefer the brighter gold side. On the axe?
On the axe, yeah. Yeah.
He's gone again.
I have it right here, actually.
Frank has gone to retrieve the axe.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I do like the brighter gold side. He asked in the video, which side do you like? Which gold do you like?
Mhm.
I do. I like
Gold
this
is
side
bright.
too, but I get why. Like my wife was like, "Nah, it's a little too much," and
Too gaudy, yeah.
I
can
get
see
it.
that.
But what's cool, I could honestly just leave it, and depending on how I have it on the wall, that
Yeah, exactly.
that's how the Dragon Slayer is. One side is bloody, the other side is clean. So who's gonna know?
Right?
Right.
So also in that video, you were showing us around your shop. I noticed you mentioned the cool plastic pieces. You said some look like Legos. We've already mentioned Lego a little bit. So my question is, do you make any smaller objects, other than maybe a small object that might go on a bigger object? But do you make things like toys? You had mentioned that you can do that. But I'm interested in what you've made, like, little Iron Man suits for a Lego character, or can Barbie and Ken get some outfit?
So the smallest, it's a lot of you're probably gonna laugh at this. The smallest things, yeah. I don't really print small stuff. The smallest stuff I printed, I actually have 6 Power Ranger coins. They were my first 3D print after I calibrated the machine. The first thing I pumped out from Thingiverse were all 6 original Power Ranger coins, and
Okay.
they came out beautifully detailed. I was actually like, this is kind of cool, and I painted them and made them look they look bad. Like compared to what I can do now, they look bad. But I still have them. I was proud of them.
Got you going, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is really cool.
Any interest in making Ken a Iron Man suit?
There you go.
For a fee, yes.
So that might be as much work as the big one.
Oh no, that'd be horrible.
Oh, you're not talking about a big one. I thought you meant like
No, for the doll.
for a lesser fee.
Okay.
So I wasn't really printing small stuff because
That's cool.
with the printers that I have, you can change the nozzle sizes on them so they can get higher detail. But as you print bigger, you can allot to lose some of that detail because you're not going to be this close face to an Iron Man suit looking at it. You're going to be viewing it as a whole, so you can lose some of that quality and detail. Now there are printers, the little printer, the Ender 3 that I showed, that is the perfect middle ground, middle range. It can do kind of bigger stuff. I printed most of this stuff on it, or it can do really fine, small detailed stuff. It's very good at that.
Very cool.
If you want super fine, small detail, they actually make SLA resin printers, and those are awesome. Resin printing, I want to get one, but they're a little more expensive. This is the type of printing I do is called FDM. It's basically a hot glue gun. It's a hot glue gun that moves in all 3 axes, and it builds something up, and you end up with a print. An SLA resin printer is the inverse of that. It's basically a photo scanner upside down, or I guess I would be right side up, and a plate gets within millimeters of that photo scanner, and there's resin floating between it. And a UV light goes around and zaps the resin in a perfect layered pattern. And then it moves up a little bit, and then it zaps another layer, and then it moves up a little bit. So out of the resin upside down, you start to pull out a print made out of pure resin. And depending on the accuracy of that photo scanner or that UV light, you can get, absolutely insane detail on things that you can never print with the type of printers that I do, that require no sanding or post-processing. You can just print them, cure them, and paint them. And that a lot of people will make miniatures and Warhammer 40K figures and tabletop gaming figures. They'll use resin printers for that because the level of detail they can get out of that is just insane.
Good to know. I want
All
that.
right.
I want that little one.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Well,
I want the detailed one.
Frank, we have enjoyed having you on our show today. And although we're not entirely done, we are coming close to our finish of our allotted time here. So one of the things that we like to do with all of our guests, we like to play a little game at the end.
Uh-oh.
Now, we have a quiz for you, and it's an Iron Man quiz. So we're going to see how well you're. And he's gone, folks. No, now we have 5 questions for you. If you get 3 of them, we're going to send you an Red Shirt Widows and Orphans mug. Okay? So if you get 3 out of the 5 correct, you get a free mug. And we'll even be kind enough to send you one without lip marks on it. No Google, no secret.
You don't have time to use Google.
Hands up here.
However, and then if you get 5 right, we're going to send you an autographed copy. That's right. Drayton's going to break out a crayon and he's going to write on the inside of his book and his own very own name for you. And he'll send that along with the mug as well. So if you get 5, you get the mug and the book. Now, however, if you get less than 3 correct, we're going to take your face, your picture of your face, and attach it to a tastefully done meme of Fing Fang Foom.
Do you agree to those terms?
Do you agree to the terms?
Yeah, I've already been I've been memed on my Discord. I can.
Oh,
dig
okay.
it.
You can handle it? Okay.
He's like, yeah, whatever, we can do this.
Is it a drive-by memeing? Or
You know what? I might just tank all 5 just to get that out of you.
that's
I'll make you guys work. I don't have
Right?
to do it.
There you go. Every question is gonna be like, Bob.
Batman.
all right.
Yeah.
All right, Batman. All right, here we go. Question 1. Where is Tony Stark when he's captured and taken into hostage in the MCU? Was it Iraq, Afghanistan, or Egypt?
Afghanistan.
Very good.
Very good.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. Colonel Rhodes renames himself, changing from War Machine to what new moniker? American Patriot.
I'm Iron Patriot.
Iron Patriot. He got it already.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
We
Ding,
need the
ding, ding.
multiple guess.
All right.
Well,
All
fine,
right.
if you're not going to let us ask the questions.
I
All right.
Oh,
2
there's
right
no bonuses for answering early. No.
for the mug.
know. You ready? In which city is a Formula One race that Tony takes part in? Is it Morocco, Moldova, or Monaco?
Monaco.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
we got
very
the mug.
good.
Correct.
Got a mug.
3.
I wouldn't have got
You-
that one right. I'll tell you,
You get
that.
one of these here mugs.
Thank you very
Yay.
much.
All right, well, let's go for the big one then. What's the original purpose of the lit devices installed on the hands of the Mark II? Was it for weapons aiming? Were they just lights to see by, or were they for flight stabilization?
Flight stabilizers.
Yeah,
He knows it.
Look
he
at
knows
you
it.
go.
He knows his Iron Man.
All right,
Could
that's
ask harder
4.
questions, man.
No.
No, he's like, I like these just fine. Thank you very
These are
much.
good. These are good.
All right. What position within Stark Industries does Tony give or hand over to Pepper Potts? Was she made the COO, the Chief Operating Officer? Did he just outright give her the business, or was she the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO?
Ooh. I believe she was Chief Operations Officer.
Oh,
Oh.
so close to the book.
Okay. We're gonna ask a bonus question just
'Cause
in
we're
case you
nice.
can hit the 5, okay?
All right.
While in captivity, Tony is assisted by whom? Dr.
Yeah.
Wu, Dr. Yinsen, or Dr. Phil?
Dr. Yinsen.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
I would have made you send the
Dr.
book
Phil.
if you would just said Dr. Dre.
I know, right?
Dr.
You
Who?
probably could have, honestly, you probably could have used Dr. Phil too, but
Dr. Phil,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that means we're going to send you both the cup as well as Dad's autographed book.
oh.
The cup, it doesn't work with my green screen, which is hilarious. So we'll
Thank you
send you
very
the,
much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hoping you'll enjoy those. So, Frank, we're here at the conclusion. Where can people go to find more Frank?
I would very much like to direct everybody to my YouTube. It is my
Okay.
bread and butter. If I would call myself anything, it's a YouTuber above anything else. It has been my driving force for the past year and a half, just getting the information out there so I could teach. I want to show people this, and if it's not for everybody, it's not for everybody. But give a video a watch, see what you think about it, And hopefully I can convince you to, jump into 3D printing. And it doesn't even need to be in the realm of cosplay. It's great for STEAM. It's great for education. The world's very strange right now with lockdowns and people being at home, and it's the perfect little hobby to start up with your family and your kids.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Awesome.
So that means go to Frankly Built on YouTube. And we'll be sure to include that in the show description as well when we post this episode. So thank you, listeners. Please go to Frank's YouTube channel, Frankly Built, of course, and follow and subscribe his content. You can also obviously find him on TikTok as well. And if you guys would like other amazing guests like Frank, please be sure to hit like and subscribe on our channel as well so we can find more awesome people like him. Yeah, thanks for being on the show, Frank.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, everybody, once again, you've wasted almost an hour of your life listening to the Funny Science Fiction podcast. But we tried to make it mostly harmless.
Thank you for listening. And remember, have fun storming the castle.
Take care, guys.
Goodbye.
Let's not miss an opportunity to talk about the brave men and women who have boldly gone and not returned. That's right. We are, of course, talking about our beloved Red Shirts. Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund. Imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 21. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and gets dissolved by acid spewed from the dangerous horde of monsters on Janus 4, only 11 minutes into episode 22, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope. Because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund have his back, and a small clump of hair left over from the acid bath.
Now that pseudo charity has become a very real charity. The Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has given us the opportunity to produce merchandise. And if you buy that merchandise, 100% of the profits goes to the fine folks over at Wish Upon a Teen. Now what Wish Upon a Teen does is they help kids who are stuck in the hospital over extended stays. They redecorate the rooms. They work closely with the family and the child themselves to help them to get a personalized redecoration of that hospital room. And so you can help out your neighbors in their time of need by purchasing Red Shirt Widows and Orphans merchandise. Or if you don't want a coffee cup, a t-shirt, or a hoodie, something along those lines, you can always just go to www.wishuponateen.org and donate directly through their links.
Thank you for listening or watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. If you've enjoyed our podcast, why not come join our Funny Science Fiction Facebook group too? It's filled with giggle-worthy memes and gags. Visit our website, www.funnysci-fi.com. That's funnysci-fi.com.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at DraytonAllen@DraytonAllen.com.